You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Judge delivers a victory for the right to tell people what they do not want to hear, based on an article by Diane Roberts, Florida Phoenix. Florida's classroom censorship is not a policy dispute. It is a power grab, permission slip politics. A federal judge blocked Florida's Stop Woke Act, and the 11th Circuit kept that block in place. The law was designed to let the state police what professors could say about race, gender, and inequality, and Judge Britt C. Grant called it what it was, a breathtaking assertion of power to ban unpopular ideas from public discourse. Who actually had power? The real institutional power sat with Ron DeSantis, his education appointees, and the state machinery they controlled. They were not defending academic standards. They were trying to turn public universities into ideological compliance offices, with the governor openly claiming the state had a right to exclude indoctrination and ideological agendas. That is not educational governance. It is censorship with a taxpayer logo. The framing is the trick. Florida sold this as a defense of neutrality, but neutrality was never the goal. The law targeted teaching that explored racial or gender injustice, while pretending the state could somehow stay objective by forbidding uncomfortable facts. That is misdirection by design. Call suppression balance, call political discipline mission, and call fear of dissent responsibility. The real target is historical truth. The administration's panic is not about abstract speech. It is about what happens when students are allowed to study slavery, Stonewall, Obergefell, structural racism, gender, and the actual record of American institutions. The source text makes the point plainly. If these ideas are strong, they should survive exposure to evidence. The state's desperation suggests the opposite. It is trying to prevent people from learning why race, class, and power still organize life in this country. Rufo, panic, and a manufactured villain. Christopher Rufo and allied operatives gave the whole project its political ammunition by converting critical race theory into a catch-all enemy. That worked because it was never meant to describe a real curriculum fight. It was meant to create a moral panic large enough to justify state intrusion into higher education. The result is a familiar conservative move: invent a threat, then expand executive power to crush it. What this really reveals: this story is about what authoritarian politics looks like before it fully hardens. It does not always arrive as a ban on elections or a police state. Sometimes it arrives as a university board, a governor's press release, and a legal theory that says public institutions exist to repeat the state's preferred story. Florida is trying to make higher education safe for power and unsafe for inquiry. That is the pattern. The court pushed back here, but the broader project remains plain. Control the institutions that produce knowledge, and you can control the boundaries of what the public is allowed to understand. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Lesak, thanks for listening.